Hey everybody. So I'm making this clutch today out of the new ostrich print leather. It's not real ostrich. It's really nice stuff from Newbury Leathers. Links in the description for that. And I'm doing, let me get this in the light here. I'm doing a double stitched gusset all around. Looks really unique on the inside. And I figure let's do a quick tutorial for it because it's a really fun one to do. And I don't see it that often. And I think it's really fun when you don't have a solid pattern because you can just cut out your piece like this and you don't have to pattern for allowances really or anything because this sits on the top of the gusset like that. Okay, so we have our bag body. We have, essentially, it's going to be our gusset and our top panel. Here's our second top panel. We do need our attachment strip. I'm going to use, you want to use thin leather for this. This is some Butero from Pierre. Guys, so many of you guys have been commenting about how you got one and use it all the time too. It makes me feel really good because I never thought a little strap cutter would make my life at the workbench so much easier. And for some reason, this thing, everyone seems to be in love with them. So yeah, I agree. So I'm going to just cut a 3/4 inch strip. I'm going to call this the attachment piece. This will be the front face and this will be the gusset, just to make things easy in the video. So the attachment piece is going to be 3/4 inch wide because it's going to be glued to the back of the face. If you look here, you can see how it wraps around, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to attach this piece to the inside of our face piece. And it's going to look something like this when we're glued in. I'm going to go with a 1/4 inch. I'm using a 3/4 inch strip of leather as my attachment piece. You're going to want to measure everything out, and it's going to be different depending on the thickness of your leather. If you're using like a really burly 10-ounce piece of leather to construct your bag out of, you might want to go an inch. I'm also going to scribe this line on my attachment strip because this is a waxed, this leather has some wax to it. So I'm going to use my scraper and rough up the leather so that the bond on the glue is really good. Doing this on a finished piece like this, I like to use like a little ruler here. And I'll just, you don't need much, right? One little thing, that keeps it nice and tidy. And you're not going to go over your line and scrape up parts that are going to be visible. Oh, and it's raining. So put a little work light on here. I'm filming in 4K for the first time, so we'll see how the video quality is. Next step, I'm using barge cement like I always do. And I am going to glue down this entire line, staying in the scribed line so that there's no visible glue in the seam. So with our glue dry, we're ready to stick our attachment strip to the back of the face of our bag. Now, what we would do on doing this the normal way where we flip it inside out, we would attach the strip this way, where it's facing in. We are going to attach this strip facing out because this is simply going to wrap around our bag like this. I've cut my attachment strip much longer than I need it, so I have extra. And I am simply going to, well, I'll move this light. And all I'm going to do is stick it down on the flat part. Once we get to a curve, it looks a little daunting, but it's not hard. You might want to pull to get this tight. Don't do that. You actually want to push in a little bit because we don't want the leather to flip upwards. We want it to flip downwards. And this will take a little time. And you can see how when I push, it forces that leather down like that. That's what we're looking for. There we go. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to flip this over. Make sure we have a nice stuck seam there. And go to my next one. So now this is a great use for the squeezy things. I still don't know what they're called. You guys always let me know in the comments and I always forget. These are like a cheap $10 pair from Amazon. I just ground the faces down and wrapped them in leather. They work great. So once we get this stuck, we're going to do the first of 2 stitch lines. And I have my extra, I'm not going to trim this completely flush yet. I'm going to leave myself a little bit. So the first seam we're going to do, we're going to stitch this inside seam. A lot of the times we practice punching straight up and down, but there are times, albeit they're rare, where doing an angled stitch is actually going to help you out. This is one of those times. I'm going to angle my stitch inwards this way because it's going to make sure that I'm not leaning away from where my attachment strip is. I want to make sure that I get these stitching holes nice and deep into this curve. If you even wanted to, instead of going straight up and down, you could lean your bigger stitching chisel in on the flats too, a little bit. Not too much, but we're never going to see this stitch line. And the priority is that we're getting a good chunk of our leather attachment piece in our stitches. And we're just going to sew around the entire outside here. I'm just doing it by hand. If you have a machine, you can do it on a machine as well. And it's a super easy seam to sew. You can do a card wallet, you can do this. It's just a nice straight seam. On my project, I'm ready to attach my panel to my bag body. On this particular design, I'm going to make sure that I mark a center line. That'll help me with gluing. I have a center line here with my French seam, and we'll get to sticking this in. To stick this in, I'm going to match my center marks up in the middle here. Now, this is going to be all design dependent, right? If you're not making a piece like this, exact design, it's going to be different for you than it is for me. But the main gist is, all we're doing is we're just sticking a flat piece of leather to another flat piece of leather. There's no flipping, there's no anything complicated. The curves are super easy, and stitching is easy too. Now with this finished, I'm going to do a piped edge on this side, but you could just sand this down, stitch it all up, it'll look really nice. And here we go. So you can see it's a really cool sort of sleek modern way to add panels to a bag. And the nice thing is that this whole front panel just sits flat, so you're not flipping any seams. So you can use leather that doesn't like to be flipped. Not this, but a lot of bridles will wrinkle and kind of look, the wrinkle will stay. If you make a bag like this, you could scale this up and do tote bags out of it, anything you want, and you're able to use those leathers without having to flip anything. As far as this one is concerned, I am going to get a handle on this, and it's going to be a nice slim little going out clutch for someone. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.